Good evening from InvestSharp. This is Randy Smotone with your Thursday, July the 22nd market update. I'm going to do a little different format tonight. So this video is going to be part one of two videos. So there'll be a part one and part two. So on the economic front, the weekly jobless claims were up 37,000 to 464,000, and the market didn't care. Monthly existing home sales were down 5.1% month over month. Median home prices actually rose though by 5.2%, and inventories are actually rose, which wasn't good, and we're now up to 8.9 months. Again, the market didn't care. And nat gas and storage rose by 51 billion cubic feet, which was pretty much in line. So there's no economic data to be released tomorrow, at least here in the U.S. However, we'll get the results out of the European bank stress test on the 91 banks. So we'll get that tomorrow. So just a few of the earnings, I won't go into detail, but this morning we had Caterpillar, we had 3M, we had United Postal Service, we had Union Pacific, we had AutoNation. They all released good earnings, and they were all up during the day, so that they all looked really good. After the market closed, we had American Express, and it was a beat. Last I looked, it was flat. SanDisk was a beat, but it was actually down 7% when I last looked. The founder of SanDisk is actually, I guess, going to retire at the end of the year, and I guess that what sent the stock down, because the earnings were fine. Amazon was a big miss. It was down 15%, not good. And Microsoft was a beat, and it was flat. So the dollar was down today. Gold, silver, copper, and oil were all up. Light sweet crude futures were now in the September contract. They were up. Oil was up $2.74 to settle at $79.30 a barrel. So quick look at the dollar via the ETF UUP. So we kind of broke out here and then we pulled back. So where we go from here, we'll see. But of course the dollar is continued weak after this big run. Over to the point and figure chart for the West Texas Intermediate crude. So here on the point and figure chart, we're actually on a sell signal, and this was the price objective for the point and figure chart was $64 a barrel. But once we print a box higher than these previous column of X's, we will go back on a buy signal on oil. So once we print 80, and we need to print 80 even, 79.99 doesn't count, not in the point and figure world. So we need to print 80 even. We'll go back on a buy signal on crude. So $80 mark is what we'll be watching for. So over to the Dow. So of course the Dow, we had after a huge day, these days, it's gotten to be where it's kind of funny. It's just depending on the news and the mood of the market. Right now earnings were good. They're focused on earnings, so it was all great. Now when they get all concerned about the macroeconomic picture of the debt of all the sovereign countries and and the unemployment outlook, and the healthcare, reform that's already been put into place, and the FinReg that's now been put into place, then the market gets all freaks out. So, but for now, it was up good, and maybe it stays that way. It makes you pretty bullish when we have days like this. So the Dow did close up 201 points at 10,322. S&P closed up 24 points to 1,093. NASDAQ closed up 58 points to 2245, and the Russell closed up 22 points to 635. The Russell had the larger percent gain, up 3.73%. So the small caps, the risk trade is on, and the Dow was the weakest, but of course still up 1.99%. So if you take a look at the charts, we're still in this we're still in this freaking, which looks like a wedge forming. We're still in it. We did hit resistance. We pulled back again. So we'll see where we go from here. We had these big moves up and down, and we had this huge run, huge sell, big up day. That was a big move up actually, because we come off the low of like 265 points, then selling and then buying. So we need to overcome this. So we have that downtrend line still overcome. The S&P actually snuck above its downtrend line today, which was good. Now we need to close above this 1100 mark. We've touched it 3 times. We didn't quite get there today. That will be the 4th time we've touched it. So again, I can get more bullish once the S&P closes over this. So we're still, pretty cautious. Now the Nasdaq, typically watch the 50-day moving average. So that this goldish, orangish line is 50. We did close over the 50-day moving average today on the Nasdaq, so that's promising. Now the institutions need to prove to us that they'll support this market above the 50-day moving average. And until they do that, I'm not really interested in investing long term or doing any heavy swing trading in the market. So today we did print it above it, and we printed it right here too. So now they need to hold it. We do have the black line, the 200-day moving average is overhead, which could be resistance. It was resistance right here back on July 14th. So again, we'll be watching that, and you can see we did kind of run into the downtrend line on the Nasdaq as well. So let's take a look at gold. GLD, let's take this off. It's kind of messy looking with all those MAs on there. Gold is, we broke down on gold with some selling, and gold's been kind of struggling. This is the gold ETF. We did have support around this 115 area. We basically run into this uptrend line right here and pulled back. So we'll see what happens from there. I know after hours gold's up a little bit. And the MACD's turning a little bit. So, and actually I kind of like it now that, I know a lot of people are in gold, and it's everyone was in it actually. It's been too bullish, and now they're coming out saying, well, technically it's about to break down, and last time it did this, it got cut in half. So that's good that we're getting some bearish people on gold out there. So good for you if you're in gold anyway, because it might keep it from falling because everybody was a little bit too bullish on it. Silver is actually broke out higher today. Let's get rid of that. And so obviously this trend line here doesn't mean much of anything. It did come down here around 17 and bounced and headed back up. So silver's looking better than gold actually right now. It's looking pretty good. Copper, we had this huge breakout here on copper, and good volumes. Copper's looking good. We are getting near here this previous level of where we got rejected and come down, so we're getting there on copper, so watch that. So but FCX is performing real well, and it's the play off copper, typically anyway, the best play. And let's look at the VIX, the volatility index. Actually, it held its own today. It's really stubborn right around here. It has this support here on the VIX, and it's again holding its own. It's kind of been doing. And let's look at the 10-year. 10-year still below the 3, which is not really good. So, but it does seem to have support around this 2.9, 29 area. So we'll see what happens to the 10-year there, but it's certainly not paying too well. Let's go take a look at the McClellan oscillator to see if we're overbought, oversold, or where we're setting. This is the NYSE McClellan oscillator. All right, so we're back up to 50. So we're quickly got right back to overbought. So once we get up into this area, especially usually closer to, I would say 60 to 100, we get overbought. So once we pass the 50 mark or so, I'll call it overbought. So we're a little overbought, but not, we can get much more overbought than this. But you see in this area, sometimes we still pull back when we get up here. And again, I'm still cautious until we overcome all these trend lines and all the other things I mentioned earlier. So now let's take a look at the sectors. So all of the 16 sectors we follow finished green today. The industrial transportation index was up the most. It was up 4.23%. And the healthcare index was the weakest, but it's still up, of course, 0.5%. Financials did well, semis, home construction. It's funny, home construction, just all this bad news on home construction, on home builders this week, and existing home, new homes, everything, and it's just, it goes up, but the market works that way sometimes. When the market wants to go up, it goes up. So now let's go take a look at the current market signals. We follow the point and figure charts for the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P. Currently, the NASDAQ is on a buy. These two have been on sells, and the S&P is actually very close to a buy signal. So let's go take a look at the S&P since it's about to go on a buy signal. So here is the point and figure chart for the S&P 500. So when we print a box higher than the prior column of X's, which was here, So when we print 1,100, that will put us back on a point and figure buy signal on the S&P. And if anyone's not familiar with these, if you go to stockcharts.com, you can find these point and figure charts. And all right, so that's what we're watching for there. And so that's it for part 1 of the video. And the next video, part 2, I'll go through I've got a bunch of charts I'm going to kind of rip through. So second part will be the chart watch.